But, in this struggle that we're doing, we think that a better world will come about by keeping our society free. We think tomorrow will be better if we respect private property rights. And we think we would have prosperity because people would have the incentive to produce if they own what they produced. We may be wrong, but chances are history has shown we're right. So no matter what would be our fate, we need to walk one way, and that's ahead with the truth, and convince those on the other side with goodwill that they are on the wrong side. Come and join us. It's a happy place. And so we not only need to understand more about philosophy and ideology and history, as we're doing now, we need to understand how to communicate better. We need to understand how to disagree without becoming disagreeable. If we could conquer that part of it, learning how to communicate better, we will win because we have the truth on our side. Our next speaker is, thank you, is Mike and Tonja Dausend. They joined our group not too long ago, and they've just been a whirlwind. We've accomplished more. Actually, they've accomplished most of it, but we're taking the credit for it, and which is okay because they made us better. They do research that we never had the time to do before. Mike and Tonja, having discovered the many influences of natural law in producing positive results, have become active in trying to get our government at all levels to return to their primary responsibility, that of protecting unalienable rights. Welcome, Mike and Tonja.
Thank you, Al. Mike and I would like to thank Al Segala and the CCTA for their diligent and faithful guidance and support. Mike and I can't emphasize enough all that we have accomplished. Alternative D, the orange dot poster that we have over here that's helped us illustrate what's going on with the property rights in our county, the housing element comments, the 5-way comparison chart, and the numerous action alerts that have been sent out would not have had the effectiveness they've had without the generous contributions of wisdom from those in the CCTA. Also, we would like to thank Bill McManus, Mike Preston, and Donna Zenovich for their generous support at the Frog Jump this year. So, Mike and I seem to end up in the spotlight on occasion, but it's critical, and I mean absolutely critical, to remember that it's our team, those working behind the scenes, that have actually been the key to the impact that's been made. We have some good news to report on the property rights front. Gary Toffanelli invited me as a representative of Shauna's Constitution group that meets in Valley Springs to be a part of a committee to update the Valley Springs Community Plan. A couple of principles the committee seemed to be able to agree on going into the meetings were that people should have all the rights and responsibilities that came with their property when they purchased it. And also, the county should not change land use designations without the property owner's written permission or just compensation. Now, I held stubbornly to a couple of additional standards: that the wording in the plan should protect property rights, extending the definition of property rights to the fruit of our labor, our income, and ensuring that the wording didn't expand the government's power into areas that are not the government's responsibility. In addition, in the initial document that the committee was given to work with had a lot of wording that would have inappropriately expanded the government's power. In some instances, I was able to assist the committee in removing the dangerous wording in the plan. Inevitably, we came to places where the committee and I disagreed, and where I saw a compromise not a compromise at all, but a forfeiture of our God-given rights. When I dug my heels in, Gary Toffanelli went over my head and brought in Al Segala. That's it, yes. As it turned out, Al wouldn't compromise either. In fact, he caught some problematic wording that I had missed. It was very refreshing to have someone with Al's wisdom on the team. In the end, Al and I didn't get all of the changes we would have liked to have seen, but we were pleased to be able to assist in removing perhaps 80% of the dangerous wording from the document. So, what it is it's a Sustainable Communities Planning Grant. And in the next few days, and this is time sensitive, and Tuesday they're coming to a vote. So in the next few days, we all have a chance to positively influence the direction our local government is heading. As many of you know, the County of Calaveras is updating its general plan. And normally this would not be a big deal. But today's progressives are using the general plan as a tool to gradually, and in some cases not so gradually, expand government control. Our supervisors have chosen a land use pattern that follows a system called sustainable development. The term sustainable development sounds harmless enough, and it is, as Mike said, when it's voluntary. But when sustainable development principles are forced onto property owners, it can change the terms and conditions under which the property was purchased and its value. So the goal of sustainable development is to nudge people out of sprawl into high-density communities. In essence, sustainable development is the gradual urbanization of society. The people who live in Rancho Calaveras recognized its dangers. It had been repackaged as smart growth in the Valley Springs area. They decisively voted it out of their neighborhood with an overwhelming and very vocal majority. In 2006, voters passed a Safe Drinking Water Bond Act, but what people didn't know was a Sustainable Communities and Climate Change Reduction section was added that authorized legislature to appropriate $90 million for planning incentives for sustainable communities planning grants. Calaveras County is considering applying for the grant money and using it to update the zoning ordinance and address the state greenhouse emissions requirements of AB 32. The grant also supports implementation of the so-called Healthy Communities component. And be sure to look that one up. That one is really scary. AB 32 is cap and trade. From what I understand, if the grant is accepted, portions of AB 32, the state greenhouse gas emissions regulations, will be implemented by Calaveras County, even if voters suspend AB 32 at the state level in November. By the way, I'd personally like to recommend a yes vote on Proposition 23, the vote that does suspend AB 32. What's worse is that the money for the grant will come from future generations who are powerless to vote against these expenditures at this time. The money is simply not ours to spend. The Sustainable Community Grant will be coming up for a vote at the Board of Supervisors meeting this Tuesday, August 24th. Please contact your supervisors, call them, email them, and attend the board meeting. Please remind your supervisors that they represent us, and they work for us, not the state. Ask them to vote no on the Sustainable Communities Planning Grant. And please be sure to sign the petition at that front table on the corner there to stop the application for the Sustainable Communities Planning Grant. Thank you.